The Pioneer drifted quietly in the abyss beyond the core worlds, a battered relic among titanic starships and glittering fleets that marked the heart of galactic civilization. Its hull was scratched and scarred, remnants of collisions with rogue asteroids, close calls with pirate raiders, and desperate skirmishes with lawless outlaws. Its engines hummed a tired but persistent song, a stubborn heartbeat in the endless night. Captain Mara Voss stood on the bridge, eyes narrowing as she studied the endless sea of stars flickering on the view screen. To the untrained eye, the void was calm and empty, but Mara had learned to read it like a map, hunting for anomalies, dangers, and possibilities. Her crew moved quietly but efficiently, aware that out here, at the galaxy's edge, every second counted. "Status report," Mara said, voice low and steady, a practiced calm that belied the adrenaline twisting in her gut. Lieutenant Arun, a young but sharp navigator, glanced up from his console. "We're holding steady on course. No detected hostiles. The Council fleet isn't within sensor range. We're truly in the forgotten fringe." Mara allowed herself a bitter smile. That phrase, forgotten fringe, echoed in her mind. It was the truth of humanity's place in the galaxy. Outcasts, overlooked, underestimated by ancient empires whose histories stretched back millennia. The humans were considered a chaotic, unruly species, useful as mercenaries or laborers, but never leaders or visionaries. And yet, here they were, still flying, still fighting. The Pioneer was part of the United Earth Remnant Fleet, a motley collection of aging ships, ex-military personnel, scientists, and civilians clinging to survival and a stubborn hope. Mara had commanded this fleet for 3 years, and every day she battled not only space's dangers but also the galaxy's indifference. Her eyes flicked to the communications console, where a soft beep interrupted the quiet hum. Lieutenant Rhea, communications officer and one of the fleet's few experienced veterans, looked up. "Captain, we're receiving a signal unlike anything in the database." Mara's curiosity sharpened. "Show me." The main screen flickered, and then an iridescent wave of color blossomed across the void, a rippling pulse of energy, shifting from violet to deep blue and back again. It looked like a flower blooming in space, fragile and impossibly beautiful. "What is that?" Arun whispered, leaning closer. "No one knows," Rhea replied. "It's coming from the core worlds, but it's not registered. It's growing." The Pioneer's sensors strained to analyze the anomaly. Data poured in, strange fluctuations in gravitational fields, ripples in space-time, energy signatures that defied known physics. Mara's heart pounded. The core worlds were the seat of ancient power, home to civilizations whose technology was indistinguishable from magic. If something was happening there that even their sensors couldn't identify, it was serious. "Alert the fleet," Mara ordered. "We're moving in. I want every ship ready to deploy. And keep this quiet. No need to stir panic among the colonies." Her voice was calm, but beneath it roiled fierce determination. Humanity might be overlooked, but they were not irrelevant. And if the galaxy was facing an existential threat, the humans would be the first to stand against it. Her second-in-command, Commander Selen, approached silently. "Captain, the Council fleets are mobilizing, but their movements are sluggish. They don't seem to understand what's happening yet." Mara nodded grimly. "That's their mistake. They underestimate chaos, and they underestimate us." The Pioneer and her small fleet accelerated toward the core, stars stretching into thin lines as the warp drives engaged. The closer they got, the more intense the anomaly became. Space itself seemed to shimmer and pulse with an eerie energy. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared, gravity fluctuations spiked, shaking the hull. Crew members gripped consoles and rails as the ship trembled. "Report," Mara barked. "Gravitational waves are destabilizing nearby systems." Arun shouted over the noise. "If it keeps growing, entire star clusters could be swallowed." Mara's mind raced. This was no natural phenomenon. Something was tearing at the fabric of the galaxy, threatening to unravel everything. "Prepare for scans at closest approach," she commanded. We need to understand what this is and fast. The fleet formed a loose formation around the anomaly. The Pioneer led, sensors trained on the rippling pulse. The readings deepened the mystery. Space-time was warping unpredictably, creating dangerous gravitational eddies that pulled at ships and distorted communications. The laws of physics seemed bent, twisted by some unknown force. "This isn't just a rip," Rhea said quietly. "It's a wound, spreading like a cancer through the galaxy." Mara swallowed hard. The ancient empires had faced threats before: war, rebellion, cosmic disasters. But this was new, something beyond their reckoning. Yet, here in the Forgotten Fringe, the humans had a secret weapon: their unpredictability, their refusal to accept the impossible. She thought of her ancestors, pioneers on Earth who crossed oceans, deserts, and finally the stars, armed with little more than courage and ingenuity. She thought of her crew, tired but unyielding. "We don't have the luxury of waiting for the Council to act," Mara said, voice steady. "Humanity will do what it's always done: fight." Her eyes locked with Selens. "Prepare the ships. We're going to get closer. And if the galaxy wants a champion, maybe it just found one." Outside the window, the cosmic bloom pulsed, a silent reminder of the stakes. Somewhere in that mystery lay the key to survival and the beginning of humanity's rise. For out here, on the Forgotten Fringe, the smallest light could shine the brightest. The Pioneer and its small fleet pressed forward, cutting through the shadows of space like knives through silk. The rippling anomaly grew larger with every parsec, a shimmering maw of warped light and twisting gravity that defied reason. It hung in the void like a wound in the galaxy itself, pulsating with an eerie, silent menace. On the bridge, Captain Maravas stood rigid, the weight of the unknown pressing on her shoulders. Around her, the hum of consoles and the quiet tension in the air spoke of unspoken fears. The crew was watching, not just the screen, but their captain, waiting for any sign that hope still existed. Lieutenant Arun's fingers flew across the sensor arrays, trying to wrest meaning from the chaos. "We're entering the outer edge of the anomaly's gravitational field," Arun said, voice tight. "The distortions are intensifying, navigation is becoming unstable." "Can we scan it?" Mara asked. "We're trying. The problem is the rift isn't behaving like any known phenomenon. It's not a black hole or a nova or any kind of energy burst we have data on. It's something else. Something alive," muttered Rhea from communications, her eyes wide as she stared at the screen. Mara didn't respond. There was a cold logic in her mind. Space was full of unknowns, but this one felt personal, like the galaxy itself was bleeding. "Bring up the external sensor feeds," Mara ordered. "I want visual and multispectrum scans. Everything we've got." The main view screen shifted as streams of data painted an impossible picture. The rift was a twisting spiral of colors, not just light but space itself bending and folding. Stars near its edge blinked out of existence one moment, only to flicker back moments later, like reflections in a cracked mirror. "It's swallowing systems," Arun said quietly, scrolling through star charts. "We're losing entire colonies from the registers, as if they're being erased." "Erased," Mara repeated. The word echoed hollowly in her mind. The galactic empires were ancient, sprawling, and nearly immortal by human standards. Entire cultures rose and fell over millennia, yet here was something that threatened to wipe their histories clean. "Send a probe," Mara ordered. "We need data from inside the rift. Unmanned drone or manned." "We'll start with drone," she said. "No lives at risk yet." The Pioneer launched the probe. It disappeared into the rippling light like a stone thrown into a storm. Seconds stretched like hours as everyone held their breath. Then the feed crackled to life. The probe's cameras showed warped space, stars stretched into impossible shapes, light bending in ways that broke all natural laws. Gravitational fields surged unpredictably, pulling the probe this way and that. The ship's sensors struggled to compensate. Suddenly, the feed flickered. The probe's image bent and fractured, distorting until nothing recognizable remained. "Probe lost," Arun reported. Mara clenched her jaw. "No surprises there. This thing is a force beyond our technology." "Captain," Rhea interrupted, "we're picking up a signal embedded in the rift's energy." "Signal?" Mara's eyes narrowed. "Yes, It's faint and irregular, but definitely artificial. It's like a call for help or a warning. Mara's pulse quickened. An ancient civilization had been here before them, or was still here. Can we decode it? We're trying, Ria said, typing rapidly. The language isn't any known Galactic Council dialect. It could be pre-council or something else entirely. Mara turned away from the screen, pacing the bridge. The stakes had just changed. This was no random cosmic disaster. It was deliberate, or at least, it had a story. Prepare to send a message back, Mara said finally. A universal beacon, distress call, if you will. If whoever sent that signal is still out there, they need to know we're coming. Selen stepped forward, brow furrowed. Captain, the Council fleets are responding slowly, but they're mobilizing warships toward the anomaly. If this is a threat, they will crush it or destroy anything in the process and risk annihilating entire systems? Mara shook her head. No, we're not just observers. We're the first responders. If the Council wants to sit on its hands and watch the galaxy burn, then humanity will act. Her crew exchanged glances, a mixture of fear and pride. They knew the odds. Ancient alien empires had fleets far larger and more advanced than theirs. But none of those fleets had the grit or flexibility of the humans. Set course for the Rift Center, Mara ordered. At maximum safe speed. The journey was harrowing. Space around the rift warped like liquid metal, and time seemed to flicker. Some crew members whispered about feeling like they were drifting through a dream, a nightmare from which there was no waking. The Pioneer's shield strained against bursts of unpredictable energy. Power systems flickered. Navigation computers screamed warnings. Mara gripped the command rail tightly. Brace for gravitational surge, a rune warned. We're entering the eye of the storm. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. The stars outside stretched into blinding streaks as a wave of gravitational force slammed the fleet. The Pioneer groaned under the stress. Systems flickered. The crew struggled to maintain control. Damage report, Mara barked. Minor hull breaches on 2 escort ships, Selen reported. Shields holding on the Pioneer. Mara's jaw tightened. Keep formation. Focus all power to shields and engines. Minutes passed like centuries. Then, slowly, the violent shaking eased. The fleet emerged into a strange calm, the heart of the rift. Before them lay a swirling vortex of energy, vast and incomprehensible. The very fabric of reality seemed stretched thin, like a fragile veil about to tear. From the vortex, a new signal pulsed, stronger this time. A haunting message etched into the ripples of space. Ria's voice broke the silence. It's a warning. The fabric unravels. Seek the lost key or perish. Mara felt a chill. The rift was no random accident. It was a puzzle, a test. And somewhere, hidden in the chaos, lay a key to salvation. Her gaze hardened. Prepare for long-range scans. Find that key. And if this galaxy is to survive, humanity will be the ones to save it. The Pioneer and its fleet held steady, facing the unknown. The forgotten fringe was about to become the center of everything. The Pioneer hovered on the edge of the cosmic rift, its sensors straining to pierce the swirling chaos of warped space and flickering light. Around them, the smaller escort ships maintained tight formation, their crews sharing uneasy glances that mirrored Mara's own growing sense of urgency. The cryptic message repeated softly through the communications array. The fabric unravels. Seek the lost key or perish. Ria's fingers danced over the console as she attempted to decode the strange transmission further. The language was unlike anything in the Council's vast archives. No known alphabet, no recognizable syntax. It felt ancient, but not just old. It felt alive, as if the message itself was a living thing, evolving and adapting with every cycle. Captain, Ria said quietly, I think the signal is more than a warning. It's a map, a puzzle encoded in layers of temporal distortion. We just need to figure out how to read it. Mara leaned forward, eyes fixed on the shifting patterns on the screen. Can you isolate the coordinates? Ria nodded slowly. Possibly, but it's risky. The signal is wrapped in quantum interference, like it's trying to hide itself. Do it anyway, Mara said. We don't have a choice. In the data analysis room, Rhea worked alongside Arun and a handful of engineers and linguists from the fleet's small scientific corps. The tension was palpable as the team fed endless streams of data through their decryption algorithms, trying to tease out the hidden meaning. Minutes stretched into hours. Then, suddenly, the screen flared as a new pattern emerged, a three-dimensional star map, overlaid with ancient glyphs that pulsed softly in blue and green. There, Arun whispered, coordinates, a system outside the core worlds. Uncharted, unknown. Mara studied the map. The star system lay in the shadow of the rift, a place the Council had never bothered to explore. But now, it was clear this was the lost key the message referred to. We're going, Mara said, voice steady but resolute. Prepare the fleet. As the Pioneer adjusted course, Mara gathered her senior officers in the briefing room. The small, dimly lit space hummed with anticipation. We're heading into uncharted space, Mara began. The Council has ignored this region for centuries. But the message, the warning, makes it clear that whatever threatens the galaxy started here. The key to stopping it lies in that system. Selen, her second-in-command, frowned. And if it's a trap? Mara met her gaze. Then we'll face it head-on. We've survived worse. The difference is, this time, we might have a chance to stop the unraveling before it's too late. Rhea added, the ancient message suggests a civilization that predates even the Council. A species advanced enough to encode their warnings in space-time itself. If they're still out there, or if their technology remains, it could change everything. Mara nodded. Exactly. Humanity's future, maybe the galaxy's future, depends on what we find. The journey to the lost system took days, every moment weighed down by the unknown. As the Pioneer crossed the threshold into the uncharted sector, the crew felt the atmosphere shift. The stars here looked different, older, dimmer, as if distant memories of light reaching back across the eons. Arun, at the helm, called out, Captain, we're approaching the system. The view screen revealed a sprawling stellar nursery, a web of glowing gas clouds and young stars. At the center was a planet shrouded in swirling mists, the origin point for the ancient message. Sensors detected faint energy signatures emanating from the surface, unlike anything the fleet's scientists had ever seen. The readings hinted at dormant technology, ancient machinery hidden beneath the planet's crust. We're not alone here, Rhea said, her voice barely a whisper. Something is watching. Mara's gut tightened. Deploy the exploration team. Suit up for the unknown and prepare for anything. The exploration team descended through the planet's dense atmosphere, greeted by a landscape both alien and hauntingly beautiful. Towering crystalline structures jutted from the ground like frozen lightning, their surfaces shimmering with iridescent light. Strange flora pulsed softly with bioluminescence, casting eerie shadows in the twilight. The air was thick with an electric hum, as if the planet itself was alive. As they approached one of the crystalline towers, the team found ancient inscriptions etched into its surface. The symbols glowed faintly, resonating with the same patterns from the signal. Dr. Lin, the fleet's lead xenolinguist, traced her fingers over the inscriptions. This language is connected to the signal. It's a story, a history of a civilization that once ruled this sector. She paused, translating slowly. They were guardians of the cosmic fabric, protectors of the balance between realities, until the unraveling began. Mara's heart raced. What caused the unraveling? Lin shook her head. Not clear. But the texts warn of an ancient enemy, something they called the Voidborn. Entities that feed on space-time, consuming stars and civilizations alike. A chill ran through the team. Mara's voice was steady but urgent. Then we're not just fighting an anomaly. We're fighting an enemy, one that might still be out there. Back on the Pioneer, the atmosphere was tense. The fleet's scientists analyzed the new data, uncovering fragments of technology buried deep beneath the planet's surface, devices that manipulated gravitational waves and temporal fields, possibly the key to closing the rift. But there was a warning embedded in the tech. Activating it could trigger unknown consequences. Mara faced her officers. We have the tools, but the risks are high. Selen leaned forward. Do we have a choice? No, Mara said firmly. If we don't act, the rift will keep growing. It will consume entire star clusters, including human colonies. Rhea added, the Council fleets are still far off. They don't understand. We're the only ones who can stop this." The room fell silent. That night, Mara stood alone on the observation deck, gazing out at the shimmering rift. The stars seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of a dying galaxy. She thought of her ancestors, pioneers who crossed oceans and skies, who faced the unknown with nothing but hope and courage. She thought of her crew, tired, scared, but ready to fight. And she thought of the message, the lost key that might save them all. The galaxy was unraveling, but humanity was ready to stitch it back together. With a final breath, Mara whispered to the stars, "We're coming." The Pioneers' exploration team had only been on the surface of the alien world for hours, but the planet already felt like a living enigma pressing in from every side. The crystalline towers stretched into the mist-shrouded sky, their facets catching the faint light and fracturing it into dazzling rainbows. The hum in the air grew louder, not mechanical, but organic in tone, like a heartbeat synchronized to the planet's own rhythm. Mara, Lynn, Selen, and a small security detail made their way toward the largest tower, its surface covered in strange, glowing runes that pulsed in a slow, hypnotic cadence. This was the site marked by the ancient star map, the key encoded in the message. "Keep your eyes open," Mara ordered quietly. "We don't know what we're dealing with." The terrain beneath their boots was uneven and alien, a carpet of iridescent moss that seemed to shift colors underfoot. Occasionally, they spotted strange creatures, translucent and ethereal, vanishing into the mist whenever approached. Selen scanned the area, weapon raised. No sign of hostile life forms, but these readings suggest something is buried below us. Lynn crouched beside a cluster of glyphs carved deep into the tower's base. "These markings are a warning," she said slowly. "They speak of the vault, a repository of the ancients' greatest secrets and their most dangerous technology." Mara nodded. "Then that's where we need to go." They found an entrance concealed beneath a cluster of jagged crystals, a narrow passage spiraling deep into the planet's crust. The air inside was cool, but heavy with a palpable sense of dread. The team descended cautiously, lights cutting through the darkness as ancient machinery hummed faintly in the distance. "This technology is beyond anything we've seen," Arun said, awe and unease mixing in his voice. "It's like it's alive." Lynn examined the walls, which were inscribed with intricate patterns and constellations. The ancients used this vault to preserve knowledge and to imprison their greatest fear. Mara's eyes narrowed. "The Voidborn," Lynn nodded. "Yes, the vault was designed as both sanctuary and prison." Suddenly, the passage opened into a vast chamber, illuminated by soft, radiant light emanating from a massive crystalline structure at its center. It pulsed rhythmically, as if breathing. "Is that the key?" Rhea asked, her voice barely a whisper through comms. Mara approached the glowing crystal, mesmerized by its complexity. Embedded within it were shifting layers of energy, data streams encoded in pure light. Arun reached out to touch the surface, but Mara stopped him. "Wait," she said. "We don't know what it will do." Lynn studied ancient holographic projections that flickered into life around the chamber, displaying star maps, equations, and warnings. One message stood out. "Activation will reset the fabric, but may awaken the Voidborn." Selen's voice was grim. "We either fix the rift or unleash a predator." Mara weighed the impossible choice. If they did nothing, the rift would continue to grow, swallowing entire star systems. If they acted, they risked releasing an ancient horror. "Are there safeguards?" Mara asked. Lynn hesitated. "The ancients locked them behind complex puzzles and fail-safes. Only one with the right understanding can operate the vault." Mara turned to her team. "We'll need every mind on this. This is no longer just exploration. It's a race for survival." The team set up a makeshift base in the chamber, working tirelessly to decode the vault's puzzles. Every solution unlocked new layers of knowledge. Energy matrices, temporal stabilization theories, and star maps showing paths through the rift's chaotic edges. But the deeper they delved, the more they felt the presence of something watching, something patient and ancient. During a tense moment, Selen reported movement outside the vault's entrance. "Security teams to high alert," Mara ordered. They found nothing but shadows. Yet the feeling persisted. Days passed. The crew worked in shifts, piecing together the vault's secrets. Slowly, a plan emerged, a way to channel the vault's energy to seal the rift, to mend the fabric of space-time. But there was a catch. The process required a living anchor, a neural interface that only a sentient being could provide. It was risky, possibly fatal. Mara volunteered without hesitation. "I'm the captain," she said simply. "If anyone has to do this, it's me." Lynn prepared the interface, an intricate mesh of biotechnological tendrils designed to link Mara's neural patterns with the vault's core. As Mara settled into the interface, her mind was flooded with visions, flashes of the ancients' final moments, the Voidborn's awakening, and the cost of hope. She saw stars collapsing, civilizations erased, and the fabric of reality tearing apart. But she also saw a future, one where humanity and the ancients' legacy merged to save the galaxy. Inside the vault, time stretched and blurred. Mara's consciousness expanded beyond her body, interfacing with the crystalline intelligence at the heart of the planet. She felt the rift's chaotic energies like a storm raging through her mind. The vault's voice echoed, ancient, wise, and sorrowful. "You have come far, mortal. The fabric weakens, and only your species has the will to mend it. But beware the void-born hunger." Mara steeled herself. "Tell me what to do." The vault responded with sequences of complex energy manipulations, instructions to harness and channel the planet's power. Back in the chamber, her team monitored her vitals closely. The strain on her body was immense. Selen watched anxiously. "How long can she hold on?" Lynn replied, "As long as her mind stays focused. If she slips, the interface will collapse, and so might the vault's defenses." Suddenly, alarms blared. The shadows Mara had sensed grew tangible, dark shapes coalescing near the vault's entrance. The Voidborn had found them. Selen rallied the security teams, weapons blazing as the alien predators advanced. The battle was brutal, a clash of light and shadow in the vault's sacred chamber. Inside her neural link, Mara fought against the rift's unraveling while her crew held the line. With a final surge of will, Mara completed the energy sequence. The crystalline core blazed with blinding light. Outside, the rift's chaotic ripples began to stabilize, the storm easing. The Voidborn recoiled, their forms dissolving into the shadows. As the light dimmed, Mara's mind returned to her body, exhausted but alive. The vault's power had sealed a portion of the rift, for now. But the warning remained clear. The Voidborn were not defeated, only pushed back. Mara looked to her crew. This is just the beginning. The galaxy was still unraveling, and humanity's fight for survival had only just begun. The Pioneer had barely left the planet's orbit when the calm Mara had fought to maintain began to fracture. The vault's light faded behind them, swallowed by the swirling darkness of the cosmic rift. Though the partial seal was holding, Mara could feel the tremors in space, like a wound that refused to close completely. On the bridge, the atmosphere was tense. Crew members moved with quiet urgency, eyes flicking between their instruments and the vast void outside. Selen stood beside Mara, her expression unreadable. "The Void-born attack was unexpected," Selen said, her voice low. "They were faster, more coordinated than we thought." Mara nodded. "They learned from us. That means they're adapting." Ria's fingers flew across her console. "We're picking up strange energy fluctuations near the rift's edge. Something big is coming." Arun's voice came over the comms, clipped but steady. "Captain, sensors detect multiple vessels emerging from the rift. Unknown origin." Mara's jaw tightened. "Battle stations. Prepare for contact." The void outside the Pioneer was alive with shadows. Black shapes shimmered at the periphery of sensor range, forms that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved with unnatural grace, circling the fleet like predators stalking their prey. The Voidborn were not just monsters. They were hunters. On the tactical screen, Mara watched as the shape shifted and swirled into patterns, a silent communication. Ria leaned over, studying the data. "It's like they're coordinating, almost thinking." "Then we're dealing with intelligence," Mara said grimly. "We can't outgun something we don't understand." Down below, in the medical bay, the toll of the battle was becoming painfully clear. Crew members were treated for shock, radiation burns, and injuries from the Voidborn's shadowy tendrils. The creature's touch was like freezing darkness, draining warmth and life. Mara walked among the wounded, offering quiet words of encouragement. Despite the pain, their eyes held a fierce determination. "We're fighting for more than survival," she told them. "We're fighting for the future." Back on the bridge, a sudden alert startled everyone. "Captain, we've detected a distress beacon," Rhea reported. "It's coming from inside the rift." Mara's eyes narrowed. Could it be survivors? Selen frowned. Or a trap? Mara weighed the options. The Pioneer was already stretched thin, but abandoning anyone in the rift went against everything she stood for. "Prepare a rescue team," she ordered. "We're not leaving anyone behind." As the rescue shuttle entered the chaotic space of the rift, reality itself seemed to twist and warp. Stars flickered and bent. Gravity shifted unpredictably. Time felt fluid. Moments stretched, then snapped back. The shuttle's sensors struggled to maintain a lock on the distress signal. "Hold steady," Arun said through gritted teeth, his hands steady on the controls. Suddenly, the shuttle's systems flickered. A shadow passed just beyond the viewport. A glimpse of the Voidborn's terrifying form. "Brace for impact," Arun shouted. The shuttle lurched, but Arun's skill kept them from crashing. Ahead, a small pod drifted, battered but intact. Inside, a lone figure lay unconscious, their suit cracked and flickering. The rescue team hauled the survivor aboard, a mix of relief and dread washing over them. Mara stared down at the injured stranger, helmet removed. The face was human, but marked by something alien. The survivor's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises swirling with an unnatural pattern of light. "I am called Kale," the voice rasped. "I come from beyond the rift." A warning. In the following days, Kale's presence aboard the Pioneer stirred unease. His knowledge of the rift was profound. He spoke of civilizations lost, of wars waged in shadows, and of the Voidborn's relentless hunger. But there was something else, a secret Kale guarded fiercely. Mara pressed him. "What do you want from us?" Kale's gaze was haunted. "To help you survive. To stop the unraveling before it consumes all." Selen's distrust was palpable. "How do we know we can trust you?" Kale smiled sadly. "You don't, but you have no choice." Meanwhile, tensions aboard the ship grew. The crew wrestled with fear, exhaustion, and the weight of the unknown. Whispers of dissent flared. Some questioned the mission, others feared Kale's influence. Mara fought to hold the team together, knowing that their unity was their greatest weapon. She found herself walking the corridors late at night, listening to the quiet murmurs of worry and hope. One evening, Mara stood on the observation deck, staring into the rift's swirling depths. The void seemed endless, a canvas of darkness speckled with stars. She thought of the ancients, their sacrifice, and the warning etched into time. She thought of her crew, brave souls willing to stand against the shadows. And she thought of Kale, a living question mark in the unfolding story. The galaxy was changing, the shadows were growing, and humanity's fight was far from over. But Mara was ready for whatever came next. The Pioneer hummed quietly as it drifted at the edge of the rift, the vast darkness stretching out like an ocean of shadow beyond the reinforced viewports. Inside, tension simmered beneath the surface, a mixture of fear, curiosity, and resolve. Mara stood in the ship's dimly lit archive chamber, surrounded by stacks of alien artifacts and ancient data crystals brought back from the vault. The air smelled faintly of ozone and cold metal, a reminder of the delicate balance they walked between discovery and danger. Kale sat nearby, his eyes closed in meditation, the alien glow in his irises dimming to soft pulses. His presence was a paradox, a bridge and a barrier between their world and the unknown beyond the rift. Lynn was busy at the console, her fingers flying over the holographic interface as she decrypted layers of the ancients' encrypted data. She looked up as Mara approached. "We've found something," she said, voice tight with excitement. The ancients left behind fragments of their history, a record of their rise, their war with the Voidborn, and their final stand. Mara leaned closer to the projection, watching images flicker to life, star systems consumed by darkness, colossal battles fought in the void, and a final beacon of hope, a weapon known only as the Heart of Light. "The Heart of Light," Mara murmured. "What is it?" Lynn tapped a symbol on the interface, and a schematic appeared, an orb of radiant energy, suspended inside a crystalline lattice. It's their ultimate weapon, capable of sealing the rift permanently. But it was lost, buried somewhere within this system. Kale opened his eyes, focusing on the projection. The Heart of Light was the ancients' last hope, he said softly. It was created to contain the Voidborn, to keep their hunger at bay. Selen crossed her arms. And if it's lost? Kale's gaze darkened. Then the Voidborn will return stronger than before. And this time, they will consume everything. The room fell silent, the weight of Kale's words pressing down on them all. Mara's mind raced. The vault had been a piece of the puzzle, but this, the Heart of Light, was the key to salvation. We have to find it, Mara said firmly, before the rift grows too large. Lynn nodded, but the data suggests the heart is hidden deep within the rift's core, in a place the Voidborn guard fiercely. Ria's voice broke the tension from the comms console. Captain, we're detecting increased Voidborn activity. They're converging on a signal source, the same coordinates where the heart might be. Mara clenched her fists. Then we don't have time. We prepare for an expedition. We take the fight to them. Later, in the ship's briefing room, the core team gathered around a glowing star map, plotting their next move. Kale traced his finger over the holographic projection. The path to the Heart of Light is treacherous. The Voidborn have set traps, distortions in space-time, energy fields designed to confuse and disorient. Selen studied the map. We'll need a specialized team, scientists, security, and pilots skilled in navigating the rift's chaos. Arun nodded. I volunteer. We've been flying blind through this storm for too long. Lynn added, I'll come too. Understanding the technology there is crucial. Mara met Kale's gaze. And you? Kale hesitated before replying. I know the rift better than anyone alive. I can guide you through the shadows, but it will come at a cost. Mara's eyes narrowed. What cost? Kale's voice was almost a whisper. The rift changes those who enter it. I survived by sacrificing pieces of my mind. You may not be so lucky. That night, Mara found herself alone on the observation deck, staring out at the swirling chaos beyond the ship's hull. Kale joined her silently, standing beside her as the stars twisted in impossible ways. You fear what lies ahead, he said, voice low. I fear losing everyone, Mara admitted. But I can't let that stop me. Kale nodded. The ancients fought because they believed in hope, even when hope was a flicker in the darkness. Mara turned to him. Tell me about your people. How did you survive? Kale's eyes dimmed. We were caught in the rift's birth. My people tried to escape the Voidborn, but many were consumed. I was altered, a bridge between their world and mine. That is why I can help you. Mara felt a flicker of empathy for this stranger who carried such a heavy burden. Then we'll face it together, she said firmly. The day of the expedition arrived. The team suited up, nerves taut beneath the armor. Mara led the shuttle toward the rift's heart, the ship trembling as space itself bent around them. Inside the shuttle, silence reigned, broken only by the hum of the engines and the steady breathing of the crew. As they crossed the threshold, reality seemed to stretch, colors bled into one another, stars twisted into strange shapes. Kale guided them, his voice steady. Focus on the path. The rift tries to trap the mind in illusions. Selen gripped her weapon tightly. I'm ready for anything. Suddenly, the shuttle lurched violently. Alarms blared. Voidborn ambush. Arun shouted, taking control as shadows swarmed the hull. The shuttle's shields flared under the assault. Mara barked orders, her mind razor-sharp despite the chaos. Return fire. Maintain formation. The battle was fierce and disorienting. The Voidborn struck like phantoms, phasing in and out of reality. But the crew held firm, their training and determination pushing them through. At last, the shuttle broke through the chaos, arriving at a floating ruin suspended in the rift's core. The ancient structure pulsed with energy, its surface etched with the same runes as the vault. This must be it, Lynn whispered, the resting place of the Heart of Light. As they prepared to land, Mara felt a deep resolve settle over her. The shadows might be closing in, but humanity's light had not yet faded. The echoes of the ancients called to them, a warning and a promise, and Mara would answer that call. The ancient ruin hung suspended in the rift's shifting darkness like a ghost caught in a storm. Its surfaces shimmered with faint bioluminescent runes, glowing softly against the void. The Pioneer's shuttle hovered just outside the structure's protective energy field, engines humming steadily as the crew prepared for descent. Mara tightened the straps on her suit, her heart pounding not only with anticipation but with the heavy weight of responsibility. The fate of her crew, and perhaps the entire galaxy, depended on what lay inside. Beside her, Cale adjusted his helmet, eyes flashing with a strange light. This place, it breathes. It's alive with the Ancients' final defense systems. We must be careful. Selen double-checked her weapon's charge and scanned the surroundings through her visor. I don't like the quiet. It's like the ruin itself is waiting. Lynn's fingers danced over her datapad, decrypting symbols etched into the nearby walls. The runes are warnings, traps designed to keep the unworthy out. The Ancients didn't want this power falling into the wrong hands. Mara gave a slow nod. Then let's prove we're worthy. They entered the ruin through a massive archway carved from an unknown crystal. Inside, the air was cold but tinged with a strange energy that made their skin tingle. The walls pulsed softly with iridescent light, casting long shadows that flickered like restless spirits. Rhea moved cautiously, her eyes scanning every corner. Sensors are picking up fluctuating energy signatures ahead. Whatever the heart of light is, it's still active. Deeper within, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. In its center floated a sphere, the heart of light. It radiated a dazzling luminescence, swirling with vibrant blues and golds. The orb seemed both fragile and indomitable, suspended within an intricate lattice of crystalline filaments. Mara took a step forward, awestruck by the sight. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Cale's voice broke the silence. "More than beautiful. It's the source of the Ancients' last hope, the key to sealing the rift and banishing the Voidborn." But the moment was shattered by a violent tremor. The floor beneath them cracked open, revealing shadowy tendrils erupting from the depths. "Voidborn!" Selen shouted, raising her weapon. The dark creatures surged forward, wraith-like and relentless. Their forms flickered between solid and intangible, their movements fluid and terrifying. Mara and the team fired in unison, bursts of light tearing through the shadows. But the Voidborn were fast, weaving around their attacks like smoke. Cale moved swiftly, chanting in a language none understood. A protective barrier flared around the team, shimmering with energy that pushed the shadows back. "We don't have much time," Cale warned. "The heart's power is unstable. We must secure it and leave." Mara approached the crystalline lattice, enclosing the orb, hands trembling slightly. The structure pulsed as if alive, reacting to her presence. She reached out, fingers grazing the surface. The energy surged through her suit, a warmth flooding her veins that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Suddenly, visions flooded her mind. A star system engulfed in darkness, worlds torn apart, and the Ancients standing united in their final battle. She saw the heart of light unleashed, a brilliant wave of pure energy sealing the rift, but at a great cost. The visions faded, leaving Mara breathless and shaken. "This power," she murmured, "it's more than we imagined." Lynn was already scanning the lattice, searching for a way to extract the heart safely. "It's bound to this structure by an ancient energy matrix. Removing it improperly could destabilize the entire ruin." Selen's eyes darted toward the shadowy edges of the chamber and attract more Voidborn. A sudden, deep rumble echoed through the ruin as the structure began to collapse. "We've triggered a failsafe," Rhea shouted. "The entire place is coming down." Mara grabbed the heart, carefully disengaging it from its crystalline cage. The orb's glow intensified, casting radiant light that pushed back the encroaching darkness. "Hold on to it," Mara ordered. "This is our only hope." The team sprinted through the crumbling corridors, debris raining down around them. Voidborn swarmed, but the heart's light burned like a beacon, repelling the shadows. Cale led the way, his knowledge of the ruins' layout guiding them through the chaos. The rifts twisting reality distorted around them, walls bending, gravity shifting, but they pressed forward. Emerging back into the shuttle, the team barely had time to strap in before the ruin imploded behind them, swallowed by a cascade of energy and light. Mara clutched the heart of light tightly, feeling its steady pulse as the shuttle rose above the rift. "We did it," Lynn said breathlessly. We have the weapon. Kale's expression was grave. We have it. But the fight is far from over. Selin stared out at the swirling void. The Voidborn won't give up. They'll come for the heart. Mara nodded. Then we prepare. We bring this light to the rift's edge and finish what the ancients started. In the quiet moments that followed, Mara felt a new resolve settle within her. The heart of light was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope, of humanity's unyielding spirit. And as the pioneer turned toward the rift's heart, Mara knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning. The pioneer shuddered as it skirted the razor-thin boundary where reality itself seemed to fray the very edge of the rift. Outside the viewport, the cosmos twisted and churned, a chaotic swirl of fractured stars and shifting shadows. The luminous heart of light pulsed steadily in Mara's grasp, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Inside the ship, the crew's faces were tight with tension. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and the unspoken fear of what awaited beyond. We're approaching the critical zone, Rhea announced, fingers flying over the navigation console. Sensors detect massive Voidborn clusters converging on our position. Selen's grip tightened on her rifle. They know we have the heart. They're coming for it. Kale stood beside Mara, eyes scanning the void. The Voidborn will try everything to reclaim the heart. This is their source of power, their link to the rift's hunger. Mara swallowed the lump in her throat, her mind racing through their options. The ancients' weapon was their only chance to seal the rift and save countless worlds. But wielding such power came with a cost. Captain, Lynn said quietly from the lab station, I've been analyzing the heart's energy output. It's stable, but if we push it too hard, the core could overload, potentially catastrophic. Mara turned to her. How much power can it handle? Lynn hesitated. Enough to close the rift, but only if we synchronize it perfectly with the rift's energy flow. It requires precise timing. Selen smirked. Great. So it's a cosmic dance, and we're the reluctant dancers. Mara allowed herself a faint smile despite the tension. Then we learned the steps. As the pioneer edged closer, the Voidborn struck. Shadows tore through the void like living storms, their forms swirling with malicious intent. The ship's shields flared under the onslaught, sparks of energy crackling along the hull. Hold position, Mara commanded, voice steady. Protect the heart at all costs. Selen and Arun manned the defense turrets, firing bursts of plasma into the darkness. The Voidborn phased in and out, elusive and deadly. Captain, they're coordinating, Rhea warned. Multiple attack vectors. This is an organized assault. Kale's eyes narrowed. They're learning. We must be ready for a final push. The battle raged, the ship trembling under the Voidborn's relentless assault. Inside the command deck, Mara felt the weight of every decision, every missed shot, every breach of the shields. Then, a new threat emerged. A massive Voidborn, larger and more solid than the others, materialized at the edge of the battlefield. Its form was a grotesque fusion of shadow and crystalline structures, a living embodiment of the rift's corruption. That's their champion, Kale said grimly. The one who commands their will. The creature surged forward, slamming against the pioneer's shields with devastating force. Alarms blared as systems overloaded. Divert all power to forward shields, Mara ordered. Selen unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, but the creature absorbed the attacks with unnatural resilience. We need to take it down before it breaches the hull, Mara shouted. Amid the chaos, Lynn worked furiously at her console, trying to unlock the heart's full potential. The heart's resonance frequency, it's reacting to the Voidborn's energy signature, she said. If we can amplify that, it could disrupt their form. Can you do it? Mara asked. Lynn's fingers flew over the controls. I'm trying, but it's risky. The heart's core could destabilize. Mara's eyes hardened. Do it. We don't have a choice. With a low hum, the heart of light began to glow brighter, its energy resonating through the ship. A radiant wave of light pulsed outward, striking the massive Voidborn. The creature shrieked, staggering as its form began to crack and shimmer. But the effort drained the heart. The glow dimmed dangerously. We're running out of time, Kale warned. Selen took a deep breath. I'm going in. Before anyone could protest, Selen activated her suit's thrusters, and launched herself toward the broken hull's outer edge, targeting the Voidborn champion directly. Mara's heart pounded. Selen, wait. But Selen was already a blur against the darkness, closing fast. Selen's rifle blazed as she weaved through the creature's attacks, each shot chipping away at its crystalline armor. The Voidborn retaliated with vicious tendrils, but Selen's agility kept her just out of reach. Back inside, Mara watched helplessly as Selen engaged the beast, the living embodiment of the rift's destruction. Selen, come back. Mara shouted through the comms. I've got this, Selen replied, voice steady but fierce. Kale muttered an incantation, reinforcing the heart's protective barrier around Selen. As the Voidborn's defenses weakened, Lynn's voice crackled over the comms. I'm ready, Mara. Initiate the heart's full power. Mara took a deep breath and placed her hands on the heart's surface, focusing all her will. The heart pulsed violently, unleashing a blinding wave of energy that surged outward, engulfing the rift's edge. The Voidborn screamed, dissolving into shadows that scattered like dust in a storm. For a moment, silence reigned. The void stilled, the stars realigned, the rift shimmered, then began to close, a slow, luminous collapse as the fabric of space healed itself. Selen drifted back to the ship, exhausted but triumphant. Mara lowered the heart, breathless. We did it, Kale nodded, though his eyes held a shadow of warning. The rift is sealed for now. Lynn exhaled deeply. The heart has spent most of its energy. It may not survive another use. Mara looked out at the vanishing rift, a wound in the cosmos slowly knitting itself closed. We've won a battle, not the war, she said quietly. But humanity's light will never fade. The crew gathered, fatigue and relief mingling in their expressions. Mara met each of their eyes, feeling the bond forged in the crucible of their ordeal. This is only the beginning, she said. The universe is vast, full of wonders and dangers. But as long as we stand together, there is hope. The pioneer turned away from the closing rift, setting course for the next chapter of their journey. A journey not just to survive, but to thrive. Because humanity was never meant to cower in the dark. They were meant to shine. The pioneer cruised steadily through the void, the vast emptiness outside a stark contrast to the storm of thoughts inside the ship. The rift, that yawning tear in space and time, had closed behind them, a glowing scar fading into the fabric of the universe. Yet the silence after the chaos felt heavier than the battle itself. Mara sat alone in the command deck, the heart of light resting quietly on the console before her. Its faint pulse was a soothing reminder that the power they'd harnessed was still alive, but fragile. She traced her fingers lightly over the smooth surface, wondering about the price they had paid and the price yet to come. Kale entered the room quietly, his dark eyes reflecting the soft glow. You carry a heavy burden, Captain. Mara looked up, managing a weary smile. We all do. That heart, it's more than a weapon. It's a legacy. Kale nodded. The ancients left more than technology behind. Their knowledge, their history, it's encoded in the very fabric of that power. We've only just begun to understand it. Mara's gaze drifted back to the viewport, where distant stars sparkled like distant memories. What do you mean? In the ship's research lab, Lynn was already at work, poring over data extracted from the ruin. The runes, the energy patterns, they held secrets far beyond simple defense mechanisms. We found traces of a network, Lynn explained when Mara and Kale joined her. A web of information the ancients left scattered across multiple star systems. The heart is just one node, the central beacon in their network. Meaning? Mara asked. Meaning, Lynn said, eyes bright with excitement, that if we can access the rest of the network, we could uncover the ancients' true purpose. Their knowledge might hold the key to preventing future rifts, or even understanding the Voidborn's origin. Kale rubbed his chin thoughtfully. The ancients must have anticipated this struggle. They created not just a weapon, but a map. The crew gathered for a briefing in the common area, the mood shifting from relief to resolve. We survived the rift's edge, Mara began. But the Voidborn threat isn't over. Our victory was hard-won, and we can expect them to retaliate. Selen leaned forward. Then we hit them first. Take the fight to their home ground. Rhea shook her head. That's risky. We don't know where their source lies. or how strong they are beyond the rift? Mara raised a hand to pause the debate. We need information. Kale, can your knowledge help us pinpoint their origins? Kale closed his eyes briefly. There are whispers, legends passed down in my order. The Voidborn were born from a cosmic catastrophe, a corruption of an ancient civilization's experiments with reality itself. Lin interjected, if that's true, the ancients may have designed the heart to not only seal rifts, but to reverse the corruption. Mara nodded slowly. Then we need to find the rest of the network, uncover the ancients' archives, and learn how to wield this power fully. Their next destination was clear, a distant star system known as Nereus Prime, rumored to be home to one of the largest surviving ancients' archives. It was a place cloaked in mystery, with strange energy readings detected long ago by deep space probes, energy signatures that matched fragments of the heart's pattern. As the pioneers set course, Mara couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a larger story, one that transcended their mission and tied them to the fate of countless civilizations. Days passed in tense anticipation. The crew settled into routine, repairs, research, and quiet moments of reflection. But under the surface, an undercurrent of unease pulsed. One evening, Mara found Kale in the observation lounge, staring at a distant pulsar. Still haunted by the Voidborn? She asked softly. Kale shook his head. No. Haunted by what comes after. The Voidborn are a symptom, not the disease. There's a darkness deeper than we imagined. Mara sat beside him. And what are we if not the light that fights back? Kale smiled faintly. Humanity's resilience is remarkable. The ancients saw it and placed their hope in us. Suddenly, an alert blared through the ship. Unknown vessel approaching, Ria's voice crackled over the comms. Show me, Mara said sharply. The viewport revealed a sleek, alien ship emerging from a cloaked position near the Pioneer. Open hailing frequencies, Mara ordered. Static hissed, then a voice spoke, calm, measured, and in perfect galactic common. I am Overseer Valen of the Celestari Collective. We have monitored your actions near the rift. Your use of the Heart of Light has not gone unnoticed. Mara's jaw tightened. Who are you? What do you want? Valen's voice was resolute. We are guardians of cosmic balance. The ancients were our predecessors. The heart you wield is a sacred artifact, but its power carries risks that could unravel the fabric of existence. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Risks we are willing to face, Mara said firmly. The Voidborn threaten all life. We need to understand and control this power to protect the future. Valen was silent for a moment. Very well. We propose an alliance. Together, we can unlock the full potential of the Ancients' network and contain the darkness. Kale looked at Mara expectantly. Mara considered the offer. To refuse was to isolate themselves. To accept could mean opening the door to knowledge or danger. We accept, Mara said finally, for the sake of all. As the alien ship docked, Mara felt a spark of hope flicker through the tension. The journey ahead would test their limits, not just as warriors, but as seekers of truth. The echoes of the ancients were calling, and humanity was ready to answer. The docking clamps of the Celestari vessel hissed as the airlock sealed, the joint hum of two ships now connected in the silent void. The Pioneer's crew gathered at the airlock, tension vibrating beneath their nerves. This was no ordinary meeting. It was a crossing of destinies. Mara stepped forward, the Heart of Light securely fastened at her side. Behind her, Selen checked her rifle one last time. Kale carried an air of quiet resolve. Lynn adjusted her data tablet, ready to absorb whatever knowledge awaited. Ria and Arun kept sharp watch near the ship's comms, eyes flickering between the two vessels. When the airlock slid open, a group of Celestari guardians stepped aboard. Tall, lithe figures, their smooth skin shimmered faintly with iridescent hues, as if woven from starlight itself. Their eyes glowed a soft silver, reflecting the wisdom and weight of millennia. At their forefront stood Overseer Valen, the same voice that had hailed them moments ago. Valen's presence radiated calm authority, but Mara could see something more, a hint of respect, even hope. Welcome aboard the Pioneer, Mara said, stepping forward with steady confidence. Let us learn from one another. Valen inclined their head. Indeed, the time has come to share the Ancients' legacy and to prepare for the trials ahead. The crew and Celestari guardians gathered in the research lab, a convergence of minds and technologies. Valen extended their hand to Lynn, who eagerly began syncing her data with the Celestari archives. Screens flickered to life, revealing vast star maps, cryptic symbols, and energy schematics woven with elegant complexity. The ancients were architects of the cosmic order, Valen explained. They built the heart of light not only to seal rifts, but to maintain balance between creation and entropy. Their network spans galaxies, a safeguard against chaos. Lynn's eyes widened. So the heart isn't just a weapon, it's a keystone. If we can activate the full network, Valen nodded, then we can mend the wounds in space-time and prevent future catastrophes. But there is a cost. The power must be wielded with unity and purpose, or it will consume the wielder. Mara exchanged looks with Kale and Selen. We've seen the cost firsthand, but the risk is necessary. As the Alliance formed, a new mission took shape to travel the star systems marked by the ancients' network nodes, awakening them one by one and repairing the cosmic fabric. Each node was a puzzle, a challenge left by the ancients to test the worthiness of those who sought their power. Before they could depart, the Pioneers' systems registered an urgent alert. Incoming transmission from the Void-born remnants, Rhea reported, brow furrowed. They've regrouped, and their leader is mobilizing. Mara's jaw tightened. They won't give up. The Void-born are desperate. Valen's gaze sharpened. Then we must be faster. Their corruption spreads like a shadow over the stars. The Pioneer and the Celestari vessel set out together, their combined technologies weaving a new kind of hope. As they traversed the starways, Mara found herself reflecting on everything they had faced: the rift, the battles, the fragile alliances forged in the crucible of survival. One quiet moment, Mara stood before the viewport, the heart of light glowing softly at her side. Kale approached, standing silently beside her. "Do you think humanity is ready for this?" Mara asked, her voice low. Kale smiled, a rare warmth lighting his eyes. "Humanity has always been ready. We faced darkness and chaos before, borne it with grit, hope, and fierce determination." Mara let out a slow breath. "I want to believe that, not just for us, but for all who will come after." Kale's voice was steady. "We are the dawn of a new light. Our actions today will ripple through time and space." As days turned into weeks, the combined crew unlocked the first node, a luminous crystalline array hidden within the depths of a dying star. It radiated pulses of pure energy, its intricate mechanisms humming as they reawakened. With Lynn's guidance and Valen's wisdom, the heart resonated in harmony with the node. Light cascaded through the network, stitching patches of reality back together, knitting the fabric of space tighter and stronger. But even in moments of triumph, Mara knew the battle was far from over. The Void-born will return, she warned her team. Stronger, more cunning. Selen nodded, her rifle resting but ready. "Then we'll be ready, too." During a quiet shift, Mara confided in Lynn, seated before the glowing heart. "Have you ever wondered why the ancients chose humanity for this mission?" Mara asked. Lynn smiled softly. "Maybe because they saw in us what many overlook: hope that never dies, and the courage to face the unknown without losing ourselves." Mara touched the heart gently. "Then we must not fail them." The story closed not with an ending, but a promise, a new dawn rising from the ashes of the old cosmos. Humanity, with the Celestari allies beside them, stood ready to be the light in the darkness, the keepers of balance, and the protectors of the future. As the Pioneer and its new fleet charted the stars, their journey was only beginning. The universe was vast and filled with peril, but also infinite possibility, and humanity's light would shine through it all.